Well, there's a strong argument to suggest that the worst thing you can be in football is complacent. Well, our arrogance is here in bundles. It's cost us our chance at a first invincible season, and if we lose against Linfield in this follow-up, the gap could be down to just 4. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 136 of this Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back for what on paper looks like two very big domestic fixtures, starting with a League Cup final and followed with a game where I thought we'd be able to rotate in a league without any real consequence. Well, that might have just changed because we said, well, only the European fixtures and Linfield are really important now because we should beat the rest pretty comfortably. Have I taken my eye off the ball? Well, maybe the players have taken note because, as you can see from the top right of the screen, we had a bit of a horror show at the weekend, and albeit we were resting players with this game in mind, we've also got to do the same 2 days later, and 2 successive league defeats with Linfield's form now could put us in a spot of bother. They are 16 points behind, but with 3 games in hand. If they get those 9, it brings the gap down to 7. If they beat us, it also brings the gap down yet further. And we could then be, well, still probably in control of the situation, but in a far more tense one than we'd like. We haven't yet defended an Irish Premiership and we've only won 2 titles. It's not something we're very used to. And while I think we're all in agreement now that at last we've got by far the strongest squad in the country on paper, we've got to show that over these few games. We want to get revenge for the League Cup final last year. We didn't manage to beat Linfield in that one, another game that was settled by one of those crazy red cards. I almost wanted to say we've not had many of them this year, but I feel I might be tempting fate. As you can see, we've only won it once, and obviously right back at the start of the save, we talked about the amazing win they had in 2011, the last big trophy, before they fell out at a big time, before we took over in this save. But now, we have got a chance to win our second title in this one, 6 years after our first. If you're looking forward to it and seeing if we can keep that gap in the league table, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Of course, Linfield, in addition to that, are still flying the flag for the nation in Europe. They've got that to worry about next week. But for now, they are focused on beating us and making the title race a little bit more tense. Let's go and see how we're getting on though, because in addition to that little problem we had at the weekend with a 3-1 defeat away at Coleraine, it is 3 in a row in all competitions now, albeit the other 2 were against a very good Lyon side. But we did now go 3 without a win, and 2 of those were defeats. We've only scored 2 goals in that time as well. They blew us off the park in the first 15 minutes, Coleraine. And in the end, we were probably quite lucky it was 3-1, despite having a squad out that I would say is capable. We did get linked in January with signing Johnny Burns, who's in my Northern Ireland national team. He's homegrown in the nation. He's a very good player. I don't want to weaken other clubs at this level. It's getting towards the stage I might have to though, because Johnny Burns is a proper good player and would be a good part of our squad, so we'll see how we get on with him. But for now, the focus is on Linfield. They are doing brilliantly in Europe. They've had a weaker start in the league, but since they dropped those points early on, they drew 6 of their first 11 games. They have won every single one since, and they're now on what, 24 played? That's 13 wins in a row. So let's see how they get on tonight. A very big one here. And to be fair, I think we're the only side that have been stopping them recently. It's Distillery versus Linfield. It's a League Cup final. The holders versus the side they keep beating in the final. We'll go and have a look at the team we've got because, of course, it will be 11 changes from the weekend and 11 changes again on Wednesday. So let's go and get our first 11 picked. It will look very different to this. I've got big decisions to make, particularly when it comes to Johnny Merivale Austin. 45 minutes recommended for him. Back in a moment to find out if he's starting or sub. Well, the answer is probably as you assumed. He's going to start this game. He is alongside Stephen Cowan, both of them not fully fit yet, and lots of midfield and attacking players on the bench in case, especially given that Goss is too tired to take his place among the subs. That means our team for today is Neil Kane in goal, Gavin Reid and Carl Carter fullbacks, with Stow still throwing a strop the other left back. We've got Mackenzie and Smith at centre half, with Jude and Gash in the middle. Merivale Austin is back for his first start in a long time, with Scully, Cowan and Missalidis the front three playing around him. Lots of quality on the bench, not that they showed that at the weekend. So let's go and get into it. Distillery v Linfield. Will this cup final also be settled by a red card? Let's go and find out. Well, I wonder if Linfield are toying with us a bit here, because they've taken out first teamers among 6 changes, with Brooks, Mackey and Lennon all dropping out. They've got a big game against us in the league in 2 days' time. Are they prioritising that and hoping they catch us out? We'll wait and see. But for now, let's go and get into the first half, prove that we're winners, prove we're the best side in Northern Ireland, and prove that with Merivale Austin and Cowan both back fit, we have now got a genuine goal threat. So let's go and get into it, as we've got Damien Jude with an early free kick, tipped wide by the goalkeeper that Linfield signed in January. Don't forget, we talked about him being a big addition. They've bought in 2 or 3, albeit the one from Lana's Cup side. But overall, Linfield have got stronger in January, and that is showing in their form. As Jude puts the cross in towards Mark Scully, heads wide at the back post. It's a good start for Distillery, but without really threatening. Just a free kick and a header that's gone wide. 10 minutes gone, Linfield still in it. But early doors, we are dominating the game as Jude plays down the left for Missalidis. Cross into the back post. Davis drops it. I talked him up, and look at him now. Davis drops it down. Missalidis puts it in. It is 1-0 to Distillery. 11 minutes gone. That is the start we can all get behind. And we've got another free kick here just a minute or so later, which Reed puts in towards the back post. Mackenzie heads it just over. We're definitely dominating the set pieces. But now look what's happened. I've been caught out. One of the few times, probably the only time this season, I haven't had 2 defenders on the bench, and now we get an injury in an area I don't have cover. This is problematic because we took the gamble with Stow being unhappy. He played really poorly on Saturday as well. Goss was tired, who would have been there. Now what do we do? Because the only option we've got is a right back, and Tommy Murphy, well, he's not going to do the job. Gavin Reed, he's probably not going to do the job. So I think, against my better judgment, with us out of Europe now, I'm just going to risk Carl Carr for a while. A pulled groin, he'll probably get a week or 2 worse, but then we've got players in the squad to cover. As Bird heads just over for Linfield, it's not been a good few minutes for us. 1 injury, 1 good chance for the visitors, but for now, we're still in front. As Reed's got a corner kick to the back post, Daniels comes, does much better that time in fairness. Look how many players Linfield have got back. They're all in like a little 10-yard zone. In fact, that was every single outfield player. Doesn't really make much sense the way they've set up there. As Luke Smith gets the ball out from the back, he finds Gavin Reed on the right-hand side. Carries over halfway. Very, very casual there. Easily won back by Ferisaj, and Macias brings down the wing. We don't want to let them back into this game, and with Ferisaj, that is a worry. We know his quality as he puts the ball in. Smith moves the challenge, and Gary McKinney is there on hand. And again, we're giving away a poor goal. We've really started to struggle with form, and it's something I've discussed before. Those big European ties against massive sides that you're not expected to win, they do have such an impact on morale still in game. Maybe I've brought back Merivale Austin too soon as well, as we're 5 to the break, despite largely being on top of the stats. We've not really been that convincing in performance. It is 1-1 at half-time. We did take the lead. We are the better team, but still, we have not managed to get the goal. And now we've got to look behind our backs because Linfield only need 1 chance. They've still got quality players. They're the only side in the nation I'd worry about that. Albeit, you could argue I should have worried about Coleraine, as Gash gets the ball on the right-hand side to Smith. Options down the line. Reed is one of them. Has support inside from Cowan. He's going to cut it back. Of course, he'll have to come off soon, as will Merivale Austin. But referee, that's a penalty kick. And Johnny Merivale Austin, the best penalty taker on the pitch, his last action in this game might be to score a penalty. If he scores it, he'll be coming off. Oh, it's straight at the keeper. Should have predicted it. Any player who's not been in the team and scoring regularly, they always miss penalties. Why did I not predict that would happen? Ferisaj has got a free kick on the left. Scully will head it away. This has got the hallmarks now of a game we're going to go on to lose. As Ferisaj goes in, deflects up the cane. We get away with that one. I think it's probably time for subs, because Merivale Austin will get worse now. You can see Cowan struggled as well. So, both of those will come off with Paul Elliott, the new boy, and Damien Dunn, the experienced pro, coming on. We're also going to have to look at left back now. He's hampered by injury, Carl Carr. He's not playing that well. Let's get Tommy Murphy on and see who's best at left back. Nobody. So Murphy's just going to go out there, I think. He is right-footed only. Reed is more left-footed, so we'll get him in. Reed will go out to left back then. Is he slightly better? I'm not sure he is, but either way, that's what we're going to go with. We've got a half an hour to go. It's 1-1. It's a bit of a frustrating day at the office because we are the better team. We've obviously had great chances now, and we're not able to take them at the moment. Damien Dew looks knackered, and the squad is starting to struggle with fatigue. Don't forget, even though this squad was rested at the weekend, we still had a game against Lyon on a Wednesday night, so it's not as if they've had a big, massive rest. We're going to bring Neil Daly on in midfield. Oh, what else do I do? Because Reed's struggling now, and I've got no other defenders left. I might chuck on one of the wingers at left back. We've got Ben Parry, we've got Dermot Lafferty. I'm not going to do it for now. One change remaining is 1-1. I've just got a horrible feeling that Linfield are going to nick this, which is probably not a good sign at this stage of the game. As Elliott gets it on the right, can the January signing become a new hero? Tell you what, if he contributes to a winning goal here, I'll guarantee him a place in my Northern Ireland squad again. As in he goes, Elliott over the bar. Oh, how have you missed that, man? There was absolutely no chance of missing the target, and he somehow put it beyond the stand. It didn't even go into the fans. Oh, it's awful. McGuckin gets down the right. It's back to Bird. And that, after so many golden opportunities, is surely going to be costly. Brooks, another one of our internationals, is on. Big ball over the Holmes. And Linfield is going to be a one chance, one goal, isn't it? Smash and grab into the box to McKinney. It's just wide. Missalidis off will be the final sub. Kashif Beaton is on as the left winger. I mean, look at the stats. We've missed a penalty. We've missed 2 glorious chances. And we're going to extra time, which with us playing them again on Wednesday, probably not a good sign, is it? You could argue we've got the stronger squad and it may benefit us, but I'm not in that camp at the minute. I'm going to take Dunn back for Jordan Gash and he'll be replaced by Ben Parry. Want to keep this squad as strong as possible now. Into extra time. It's 1-1 at the moment. We've got to take advantage of the dominance. If we go to penalties, I think we all know what's happening. As Smith wins a header at the back. We're not going to get him back on loan next year, so got to make the most of him now. As turns the sub into Allen. Back to Bird, who looks for the big ball over to McGuckin. He's getting in behind a bit too easily now. Reed makes a good challenge, but he's not playing on his natural side and he's not won it back long term. Over the top, Reed's lost his man. McGuckin's in. Across the box to McKinney. I thought Murphy was just hammering that into his own goal. It was a really bad animation, but thankfully it went behind for a corner. And our blushes for the immediate future are spared. We've still got to defend this corner though, which is into the front post. Scully deals with it, but it's back out to the taker. And Allen delivers again to Turns. On the edge of the box to Bird, to Martin. He takes on Beaton, but Beaton wins it. And with 5 gone in extra time, we'll encourage the lads. They look so deflated. We've got to get some attacking intent. As Elliott gets down the right-hand side, crossing to Scully. Can't win it. McGuckin away. Oh, it's happened again. It's happened in every single cup final. Please, please, for the love of God, will this stop? It is every single time without fail. Last year's League Cup final, we went down a 10 against Linfield. Last year's FA Cup final, we went down a 10 against Linfield, and the same has happened here. It's another one of those ridiculous 2-footed lunges. I am getting sick of it. Absolutely sick of it, honestly. Parry's going to left back. I mean, I can't say any more. I've said what I need to say 1,000 times on this, but it is getting absolutely scandalous and it's taking enjoyment out. We've not got the players to jump in the tackles. We've not got them to be aggressive or get stuck in. I just don't understand. It is constant. We're going to get into the second half. Maybe some of you are right in the comments. Maybe we are just cursed here. And after all the dominance we've had, we'd now be happy with penalties. 8 minutes to go. Elliott wants to change that by going to Dunn. His ball in was, well, hopeful rather than expectant. But Beaton gets there and Scully's going up. Davis gets there first. You've always got a chance with a 6'8" striker. I'd argue most of our good penalty takers have come off, but we've seen from Marival Austin that the attribute doesn't matter. It's all about form, and unfortunately, a lot of this team aren't in form either. As McKinney up to Craig, Dunn intercepts it. Murphy releases Elliott. He's got support down the line. Paul Elliott runs at the defence, goes for the shot. Can't necessarily blame him for that, but Davis deals with it easily. 5 minutes to go, we're going to penalties. We've got a curse in the League Cup. We've got a curse in finals against Linfield. And the red cards are genuinely getting me teetering on the edge now. Let's get these penalty takers set up. I'm going to put Damien Dunn ahead of Luke Smith. I'm going to put Ben Parry ahead as well. They score more goals, they're in better form. That's my thinking at the minute. We'll leave Murphy because he's anxious, and we'll go for Mackenzie and for Paul Elliott. And then Neil Kane is last. But what else have we got? I mean, I might even put him ahead of Murphy because Murphy's anxious. So let's just do that. We're set up at the moment. Not sure who I've got highlighted there. Let's go and get through the team talk. We just cannot get the better of Linfield overall. And it's totally because of red cards. It's happening every single time. Scully steps up, the only man I trust, and he puts it in the bottom corner. Should have let him take the one in the game based on that. Kane's in goal. We're going to need heroics. Neil Kane, what can you produce? McKinney takes his penalty. You're not stopping that in fairness. That's in the bottom corner. Neil Daly is up next. Regularly took our penalties before the big two signings. He's not a great taker. And this time, oh, it's so feeble. It doesn't matter that it was near the corner. The keeper had time to walk across and pick it up. He didn't even need a dive. Corey Craig, we had him on loan about 8 years ago. Finished that penalty pretty well. Shame we couldn't borrow him back for one game there. As Kashif Beaton, the youngster, steps up. Got an air of inevitability ever since that missed penalty. I think we knew what was coming. As Beaton penalty goes in, it's a bit of a weird dive, but we'll take it. There's no such thing as a bad penalty that's scored. McGuckin is the next man up. Chance to put Linfield back in the league. We've managed him for Northern Ireland. And he finishes his penalty well. Be confident if we get to the Euros with Northern Ireland and end up in a penalty shootout, won't we? As Damien Dunn, a substitute. What can you do? Oh, how has that gone in? It's such a poor penalty. Very similar to Daly's. But the keeper dived over it. It's very poor. Adair, another youngster. Chance to put them back ahead. Straight and Neil came with a Panenka. And he reads it. Now we're in sudden death. 3 apiece after 4 each. And Ben Parry is the man. Do not mess this up, Ben. Oh, God, as soon as we get back, we clutch defeat from the jaws of victory. And for whatever you say, the dominance of Northern Ireland is going to take a while yet because it's just constant with the red cards and the bottle in the big game mentality. And maybe that's something we've got to look for now. As Turn steps up right-footed to win the shootout. And Linfield have done it again. 3 years out of 4, they've beaten us in the League Cup final. We've still only won this competition once now in 14 years. And we still can't get our hands on it since we did in 2029. What a frustrating day. I don't know what to say. The red card curse strikes again. The Gavin Reed's challenge was just unexplainable. But so often they are. The penalties, we fought to get back into them. Then threw it away straight away. Not to mention Merivale Austin suddenly missing one in the match. Everything turned against us in that one, but now we've got to do the important bit. If Linfield beat us again on Wednesday, it will be 5 without a win for the first time in I don't know how long. It will be a crisis and Linfield will be back in the title race. We have got to go and get a result in that one. Back in 48 hours to find out if we can. Well, we're back for the big league game just 48 hours later, and after going to extra time, you will not be surprised to learn that every outfield player has been changed. Just Neil Kane keeps his place in goal. Even some of the subs that came on a bit earlier in the game are struggling, to be honest. So Tommy Murphy just makes it, but Gavin Reed obviously suspended. Merivale Austin and Cowan, the earliest ones to come off, they are on the bench today if need be. Our lineup for today, though, is about balancing fitness and the balance of the squad where possible, and that's what I've tried to do. So we've got Kane in goal, a fully rotated back four of Stow, Murphy, Goss and Kidd. We've got Daly and Thompson starting in midfield, Parry the number 10, and then Beaton and Elliott off Lafferty up front. Hopefully Dermot Lafferty can find the goals because they are just starting to dry up for us now. But Morgan Griffiths left on the bench more as a super sub option. If we need him, hopefully he can deliver. My only positive here is that Linfield are going to be a mess as well. They played 120 minutes against us too, and they have made, 8 changes to the starting lineup. Of course, a few of them will strengthen them, and Bete's back from being cup-tied. Turns is a good player. Lennon and Mackie are first choice, we know that. But a few of the stars drop out as well. So they've just sort of gone half and half. We gambled it all on a cup final, which we didn't win. And now we're relying on the backups to do the job in a league. If Linfield win this, don't forget, they can close the gap to 4 by winning their games in hand. If we avoid defeat, the title's basically ours. Linfield have got Europe to worry about too. With 6,500 fans at Windsor Park, Let's try and disappoint the majority of them. Well, here we are. We're just 6.5 minutes gone. It's Linfield on the front foot with Mackie on the right. We know how good he can be for Northern Ireland. What can he do for Linfield here? Normally plays off the opposite side, as that's awful. Neil Daly, fresh from missing his penalty on Monday, has now given the ball away to almost cost us a goal. Neil Kane forced his man wide. He dived early in my book, but Tommy Murphy, what a recovery. As it comes out to Elliot on the right, can we get the ultimate smash and grab? Should have been one down, might go one up. Ball into Dermot Lafferty. Excuse the shirt flapping in the wind, but Dermot Lafferty has opened the scoring. Paul Elliott has set it up, and just 20 seconds earlier, it was Tommy Murphy desperately clearing the ball off the line, as we should have been 1-0 down, quite frankly. As Beaton puts a free kick in for Stow. He might be unhappy. I tell you what, he's doing a job. Luckily for us, the car injury, only 3 to 4 days, so we shouldn't miss the fullbacks for more than today. Gavin Reid, the suspension is tonight as well. So we're all right squad-wise, and this start, well, it's the perfect antidote to what happened in the League Cup, and ultimately, it is the bigger competition. It could be our first time winning the Irish Premiership back-to-back. It could be just our third title, and it could be the sign of domestic dominance. Of course, we're very disappointed by not winning the League Cup and still only having one to our name, as the former Linfield man Thompson comes forward. But if we can win back-to-back titles for the first time, I feel like we are the team to beat in Northern Ireland, as Beaton gets it on the left. Still a chance to take his man on, cuts back instead to Daly. He gives it in to Thompson. Gets it wide to Stow on the left, who scored that second goal. Gets to the byline himself, chips it back in. It's good goalkeeping from Davis. Half an hour gone, all Distillery so far. And at the moment, we look comfortable, but we've seen that change before. We were all there just 2 days ago. Well, at half-time, it is 2-0 to Lisburn Distillery. A very good first half, and we made amends, which is important. This essentially makes the gap 7 points directly, 10 points in the long term. And Linfield will, with the fixture congestion, have an awful lot to do. But maybe, weirdly, this result helps them as well, because they've got a trophy on the board, which they didn't have before, which means they're going to be contented, hopefully, on that front. But more importantly, they can now maybe prioritise Europe next week, rather than thinking about, oh, do we still need to be in a title race? So maybe it helps them too. I don't know how smart the AI manager is on that front, we'll see. As Lafferty tries to release Elliott, it's a good block. We will think about changes soon, but for now, just want to keep things steady and try and get a third goal. As Daly, the voice is on the way, as Elliott gets it on the right. Will it last for Parry? Heads over the bar. Let's go and have a quick coughing fit. We'll be back in a minute with subs. Or will we? Because we're straight down the left. They're not giving me a break. Stow gets it to Daly. Ball's intercepted on the edge. Lennon gets it back to Mbete, but it's nicked by Lafferty. Good turn. Shot straight at the keeper. It's comfortable. Let's be honest. Linfield are doing all right. But we've just killed the game off now, and we do look the better side. As Davis goes long, they're throwing men forward, but Murphy clears away to Elliott. And Daly to Parry. Up to Elliott again. He's been a very good signing so far. You can see he's the star man today. Beats 2 there, puts in a really good cross. Deflects to Lafferty, whose shot is poor again. And he seems to pick out Davis's gloves. Who, let's be fair, without that mistake in the last game, we wouldn't have even made it to penalties. This is a long ball forward. It's a very long highlight. And I'm not really sure what we're seeing here. Elliott loses the ball to Mbete, and Garcia goes down the line to Adair. Chips over the top, Mackie's in. It might be back in this, you know. Across to Allen, it's a cracking effort. It's wide off the outside of the post. An hour gone, subs on the way. We're dominant, but we're getting a few warning signs. Well, let's go and get those changes made, because we are getting some fitness warnings, and we've got 1 or 2 poorer performers as well. So Elliott off, he'll be replaced by Stephen Cowan, coming back on this time after his, 60 or so minutes at the weekend. We've also got Murphy coming off. It will have to be Hamilton. He will go in centre-half with maybe Kidd out to right-back. I think that's probably the best I can do there. And then looking into midfield, we've got Parry not playing so well, so Morgan Griffiths for him. And then we're probably going to go Thompson off for Damien Dunn, who can just do half an hour. Not really the game to bring on the youth players. We can do that once we've wrapped the title up. This one is just about getting a job done. As Lundstrom gets it down the right for Linfield. Big ball over the top, which is straight at Neil Kane. Not sure why we saw that, but Goss gets it to Daly. And it's into Damien Dunn, the sub. Carries over halfway, has support on the right from Cowan. Can he stay fit for his little cameo here? We'll try and give Maraval Austin a few minutes soon, as Lafferty hits it just over. The struggle at the moment, though, is in midfield with Neil Daly. And I think physically we tend to go, I've got to look at that. I'm going to bring on Merivale Austin here. We're going to put Beaton into centre midfield, Lafferty to the left, Merivale Austin through the middle. And then out of the two midfielders, I think we're going to go for Dunn in the deeper role of the two and Kashif Beaton as the Mazzala. We've got 10 minutes to go. It's been a great response to Monday. I'm still a little annoyed about that cup final, to be honest, especially the red card thing. We've got the job done, and while we've lost the League Cup yet again, we are going to get back-to-back titles for the first time. A 10-point lead will be unassailable at this point. Let's go and have a look at the schedule and see when we're going to be back. Well, despite the temptation to show the Coleraine Cup tie after what happened in the league last week, we'll be playing our first team in that one though, so I think we'll get through. We are going to come back for the battle between Northern Ireland and Wales as we face TNS in the SPFL semi-final. A few of you have picked up on it as we've gone through this save. TNS have been doing very well. They have been making, as you saw earlier in the season, the Champions League group stage and getting wins at home like we were against the likes of Club Bruges, who beat us in the Europa Conference last year. So this is a very decent team. And of course, we should have the final scheduled straight after the Linfield game. So if we can, we'll show a double header with Linfield off camera, the semi-final and final of the SPFL trophy. Of course, if for any reason we do let Linfield back in, I'll make sure I show you that game as well. With 4 home games that are winnable in the meantime, I think we should be all right on that front. Great to get back to winning ways in the end, but for now, a few concerns and still no win in that League Cup. If you did enjoy it, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know, how do I lift the red card curse? If you want to stay up to date and see if it affects us in the next trophy, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back here in a couple of days' time after a very big episode in the head coach. If you missed yesterday's, check it out in the eye above, because we've got, well, a bit of a change to our adventure this time. If you want to stay up to date with everything else, there's links in the eye above or the description below. But thank you very much for watching. Your support as always is appreciated. And I'll see you next time for the SPFL Trust Trophy. Can we win my favourite competition?